you know you have received the recipe, you have received all the ingredients. If you want to follow the class and do the dish at the same time I will be doing, I'm not going to go too fast. And I think Yetunde is managing the chatting stuff. So if you have any questions, please ask the question. I might not be able to answer right away, but I will answer after we finish the dishes, after I finish the preparation. I can answer a few questions if you have some. It will be even a pleasure. I hope everybody has arrived. We have we got a lot of people who reserve for today, and we have a session tomorrow morning, mostly for the people on the other side of the world in Australia, Asia, and New Zealand, and we have less people, but we have a good amount of people, so it's pretty cool. So let's start. As I said, the class is going to be about a fish that we're going to cook in a papillote. Papillote, you can use aluminum foil, or you can use parchment paper. I will use parchment paper. A lot of people say aluminum, blah, blah, blah. We never know. Frankly, it works better in aluminum foil because you can seal the papillote better, so all the steam stay inside. But because I'm not really sure that it's what is healthy, I use the paper. It works very well too, but sometimes it has it's difficult to seal, so the steam can eventually go away. We're going to start the preparation. I have my oven on, so if you guys are doing the recipe at the same time, turn your oven on at 200 Celsius, 450 Fahrenheit. And the first thing we're going to do, because I'm going to make two dishes today, one with fish and exactly the same recipe, but instead of the fish, we're going to use celeriac. So celeriac, as you know, is the root of the celery. The green stack comes on top. It has a fantastic flavor. It's slightly tangy, but it works very well for if you like a vegetarian dish, or you can also peel it and use as in a mash, like a mashed potato, but with celeriac instead. You add one potato to get a little bit of starch, so you get some consistency. And be careful, it turns brown very quickly. So you have it like this, and we're going to to cut it. So I cut only the top like this. Normally in France they're a lot bigger, so I choose, because most of the people who in France on the other side of the camera are Americans or Canadians. Usually they are smaller in America because you prefer to use the green stack. And we use the green stack only, the branch, for stock, maybe a little salad, but not very much. But we use that a lot for Christmas dinner, for all year long you can find those roots. And we're going to cut a thick slice like this. What I like is to have that. Well, I could have done a better job there. There you go. Is to have that flour style, it's like this. And now what I'm going to do, the rest, you can make a mash. You can also eat it raw, shredded with mayonnaise. Very, very French, very classic. And we're going to peel like this. At the same time, Yetunde is taking a picture of me. So, and I think we are going to use all that filming for, presenting whatever we are doing. So I'm peeling with a knife and not with a peeler, because if we peel with a peeler, it's pretty difficult to do. It's very thick. Now, to gain time, I'm going to seal that big slice there. I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil and butter. So I'm making dinner for two. I'm making one fish and one celeriac, right? So it's going to be for two people. One has to be vegetarian and the other one has to be pescatarian. When my oil is hot, I'm going to add a little chunk of butter. So this is the ingredients we have. I didn't talk about it, but I'm going to do it now. The the celeriac, of course. We have a very, as you can see, the size, I don't know if you see it very well, the size of that fish. It's really thick, and that's what you want to get the real deal on what we are doing today. Don't do it with some very thinny, like sole or something. It has to be like a codfish, maybe a halibut, but very thick is the best. So you can get all the moistness inside. My oil is hot now. I'm going to add a chunk of butter. As soon as the butter starts to get a little color, I'm going to start searing the celeriac in it. You can always make it a little bit more fun. Now he has a very nice size, very nice shape. So here you go, butter, not brown, it just melted, it's just getting a little, that hazelnut color, and we're going to sear on that side. There you go. I'm going to slow down a little bit. I don't want it to burn, I just want to get a little color. And then we're going to salt and pepper it and put it into the oven to cook for about like 10 minutes. It doesn't cook very long, made that way. Then we take it out, and we do exactly like the fish. We're going to make the paupiette. We're going to put it inside with all the other ingredients. The way I've made that recipe, that approach, is slightly different than what you usually see when you have a papillote. Most of the people who do papillotes, they put aluminum foil or parchment paper, or a little bit of put the fish, a lot of vegetable, olive oil, eventually white wine, lemon juice and all. At the end, it has to cook a little too long. So the flavor of the fish is not there anymore. Whatever it is, it's everything that is in the papillote. It's not a bad thing. I've done that for years and years. But now I think I prefer to only use a little bit of the flavor in the papillote, but mostly the fish has to taste fish, and I can control the timing of the cooking a lot better. And you see, this is the beautiful color. That's exactly what we are looking for. I hope it shows on the screen. This is lovely that way. We're going to continue cooking that for a few seconds. So it got color on both sides. We need to add a pinch of salt and pepper. And now that goes to the oven, as I said, for about 7 minutes. The time for us to start the other things. I get distracted very fast or very easily, so I'm going to use a timer. All right. The noise is really annoying from the timer, so I'm going to try to get it out before. We have an orange, a lemon, the 2 zucchinis, that plenty, butter, fish, and in the fridge I still have a little bit of cream that Yetunde is going to go get for me in a few minutes. But the first thing we are going to do is to prep the orange and the lemon. Very easy, we're going to cut the orange in half. One part is going to be squeezed for the juice and the sauce that we're going to make. Same thing with the lemon. Then you cut the other side of the lemon like this, and you're going to make, you need about 3 slices of lemon. And you see what I do, very, very thin, very thin, very fine. So you need 3 or 4 slices like this per fish. And you do the same thing with the orange. That's going to be added on top of the fish when it goes into the oven to give a little perfume, a little flavor to the fish. But when we're going to serve the fish, we're going to remove them. This is not good to eat some, lemon like this. It's very bitter, has no interest. So a lot of chefs or a lot of people who demonstrate to you online what you do, they leave it there. Of course, it's a lot nicer, it look better, but who will eat that? It's not good. So there is no reason that it stay on our plate. So we can put that on the side. And now we're going to make our first papillote. Get that there. There you go. So you have a large rectangle. You're going to put it in 1/3 like this. You see, 2/3, 1/3. Leave enough space on the side for the sealing. The fish is going to be into that direction. You add also a little bit of olive oil on both sides of the fish. It's important to do that because when it's going to start cooking, the oil is going to make a kind of a crust to keep all the juice inside, right? We're going to add a little bit of salt. And I use today chili pepper. This is the chili pepper we use a lot in the south of France, named Piment d'Espelette. It's not really hot as per se. Most of the French people in the south, they use it instead of black pepper, and it's perfect with a dish like this. It gives a little heat without being hot, but it's interesting. So we had that. It has this kind of a smoky flavor in the back. And as I said, 2 slices of oranges and 2 slices of lemon. And that's it. You don't want to put anything else. So when you close it, you seal it. It's only going to cook for 8 minutes in the oven, hot oven. We're going to do that later. And it is going to rest 2 more minutes for finishing the cooking inside the papillote. That way you will have a fish that is really moist, really tasty. It will taste like fish. And all the rest of the ingredients, we're going to make them separately. So the zucchini with the basil and the cream, we're going to put them separately. We make a bed of this, and we had the fish that we take out on top of the zucchini, and we're going to make a quick sauce with olive oil, butter, orange juice, and lemon juice. We're going to mix olive oil and butter and reduce the juices to almost nothing, just for the flavor that is really punchy, if you want, and that's what we're going to make. So now, if you've never done this, you try to close the most hermetically possible. And that's the difficulty with parchment paper. And then you do the other side. All right, the celeriac is almost ready. So we're going to be able to do the other papillote with the celeriac. Will be exactly the same thing. So like this. So you do your best with this. I think that's going to be perfect. And you put that on a cold baking sheet. Voila, this is ready. It's exactly what I was looking for. When you go inside, you go through very easily. So it's cooked. So you see, it's about 6-7 minutes, really quick. Don't keep the oil or the fat, you don't need it. And we do the same thing now. So it's going to get cooked a little bit more, but it's mostly going to get the flavor from the orange and the lemon. Again, a little bit of olive oil. Not going to add salt and pepper because we already did. Centered, and we close it. Same deal, we're going to close the best we can. So I hope the ones who are cooking at the same time that I'm not going too fast. I'm going to take 2 seconds after to clean up everything I don't need on the table, so you can catch up if you need to. So this going there. So if you press well on the seal, normally it works. Going to put that just on the back there. All right. Told you it's annoying. So now we're going to go with the zucchini. Some French zucchini, that the season of zucchini just starting now, so they're pretty small at the moment. They're not really big. You need a pan like this. Yetunde, may I ask you to go get me some cream in the fridge? The small ones, the small ones. She did already. Cool. All right. Ta-da! For those who haven't had the chance to meet Yetunde is my wife. She's not only the back office manager. She takes care of everything I don't like or I cannot understand, like everything that has to do with a computer. I cook. She's the brain of the company. So the zucchinis, we're going to get rid of extremities. No need for that. We're going to cut them in the length like this. Then you put them on the flat surface like that. You cut like this.
Could you repeat the oven temperature again in Fahrenheit?
The temperature in Fahrenheit, someone is asking what the temperature was. My accent, maybe you don't understand. So I said it's supposed to be 200 Celsius and 450 Fahrenheit will be fine. 480 maybe, but doesn't really matter at that point. Okay. And then we're going to cut it. So what you want is to have some small little chunks like this. So of course, my zucchini being small, it's very easy for me to cut them in 4 like that. If you have a bigger one, but you make bigger slice and you cut the other way. We always keep the skin on the zucchini. We try to keep the skin on all the vegetable possible. The good reason or the best reason for that is close to the skin. It's where all the good nutriments are eaten. So even potatoes, if they are young and fresh, and why not keep the skin? You know, if it's not bothering you, it's better to keep them. But for cucumber, zucchini, or especially the green vegetable, keeping the skin is better. And then we cut them in small chunks. So the oven's still on, right? Because that's going to the oven is still at the temperature I was giving you, because we're going to have to add the papillote in about 10-15 minutes. All right, there we go. I'm going to turn on my pan. So I do everything now in this order because I want the last thing to be done to be the sauce. So that way, when the papillote is in the oven cooking for the 8 minutes, we have enough time to make the sauce. And then when we're going to plate it, when we're going to serve, we're just going to reheat the zucchini and basil cream. It's going to be easier that way. There is always an order of things that is important to make your life easy. So every time you see a recipe that is not very well explained, you're not so sure, think about the steps that you have to do. If you always start with the longest step, probably, like if you do a full menu, you always start with desserts and you don't start with the gazpacho. You start the gazpacho before, the day before, or something like this. All right, so now we are going to have this. The olive oil is in. I didn't put any butter yet because we're going to do it on high heat for the zucchini to start getting a little color and cook quickly. As soon as we had the cream, then we had the basil. I don't want the zucchini to cook in the cream. The cream is really to get like a rich flavor to everything. And if I had the butter too early, the butter will turn brown a little bit, change the color of my zucchini. So we're going to do that. We're going to add a little bit of salt, as usual. So this time I use black pepper. All right. In the meantime, so it's not too boring for you guys, we're going to squeeze the lemon and the orange. So you can see that I have a very nice electric squeeze juicer. The word was, I was missing the word. So beautiful. So today we have decided, because it was way too many people that wanted to do that class, and thanks again. But we have done that class on the YouTube, so I cannot see you, and so you can still ask questions, and I see some questions coming. That is great. But normally we do that in with Zoom. You have heard of that company Zoom that now is really, famous with that lockdown. And what happening there? The good thing with Zoom, so I can see you, I can see whatever you're doing. So all the virtual classes that we're doing with Zoom, and also you have a camera on top, so you can see everything that we are doing there. But today was too many people. I cannot handle more than 8 to 10 people in Zoom. There's too many people talking at the same time. It's crazy. There you go. So we have the juice. We have this. So my zucchini are getting wet, and you can see that it's sweating. There's a little bit of color. This is absolutely perfect. I don't want to add. So when I do that recipe sometime in the class, people say, "Oh, why don't we add onion and shallots and stuff and garlic?" Of course, it's more Provençal if we do that. But at the same time, the final product, what is important is your fish. So if you have too many different flavors in there, you miss completely the flavor of the fish. Now my zucchini, I think, are crunchy. They're not fully cooked, but that's exactly what we're looking for. So you see it's about like 2 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit of butter. You know why? Because with butter, everything is better. So I said that to every class. I think I've said that thing like maybe 2,000 times. And we're going to add the cream. So heavy cream, not the light one. Stay away from those light yogurts. Light stuff is not good for you. And then we're going to add a little bit of cream. So it's not that much cream that we need there. It's only, I cook for 2 people. So maybe a cup. And we're just going to let it everything infused in there. What we are missing into that sauce or into that vegetable that we're going to have with the fish is basil. So we're lucky enough in our country, basil grow like crazy. So we have several plants like this. You need 4 or 5, and you always take the biggest one. The biggest one has slightly more flavor. This is the Italian, the classical one. You have small leaves also that is more peppery. There is a lot of different variety of basil. And what you do, you're going to stack them on top of each other like this. And we're going to roll them like you make a cigars. You know, if you have been lucky like me to go to Cuba and visit those cigars ladies making cigars all day long there. So when you have it tight like this, what you're going to do, you're going to slice it. You're going to cut it like very, very small if you can. This is probably the best way to use basil beside making pesto, for instance, because if you chop basil, same thing with cilantro, the flavor gets off a little bit. For some reason, if you, especially with the cilantro, it's absolutely awful when you do it. It tastes like soap and smells like soap. And the basil, we're going to put it there, okay? So with the heat of the pan, the cream, I start to cook. And we're going to get all the flavor without getting too much fat. I don't want it to reduce too much. You know, you see, it's already, it's still liquid, but not too much.
I didn't understand what you were saying about basil.
No? So apparently someone has not understood what I said about the basil. What I said about the basil is, if you, what I did, I sliced it very thin. And I did not chop it small. If you chop it small, the flavor get into the bowl, go into the air, and there is a metallic flavor. That's maybe because of the contact with the knife. I'm not really sure, but there is a metallic flavor who will come up, who will get stronger than normal for basil. And if you do it with cilantro, you can do it with scissors. Actually, it works very well with scissors. If you do it with cilantro, like you make a guacamole, don't chop it too small. Same thing. You roughly chop, it's better. That way, you don't have that soap flavor that you get when you make when you chop cilantro. So now I'm just boiling that a little bit. So everything is infused. And we got the right consistency. Today, the way we're going to serve this, because I want it to look good on the volume. You know, if I put that on the flat plate, everything is going to it's going to be ugly. So we're going to use a pasta bowl or like a pasta dish or like a soup bowl or something. So that's going to be very elegant to have that vegetable in the bottom, the fish or the celeriac on top. A little bit of the sauce we're going to come to complete everything, and just a few leaves. We're going to use the small one this time of basil to go around. It's a very elegant dish. And as you can see, there is not that many ingredients. Everything is very easy to find, I believe, almost everywhere.
How much butter in the pan?
I would say like less than a tablespoon of butter here. You know why we like so much the butter in France? Let me tell you, there's some people, and I'm one of them. I should not. I know, but what we do, we eat bread, butter, and camembert, for instance. You said like it's fat on top of fat. Yes, true. The butter, what it happened, it's in your mouth. Even if it's in a sauce like this, it will develop and increase all the flavor that are coming into your mouth. This is a real thing. I'm not come up with things. It's true. The butter is convoyeur, how you say that, like a vehicle of flavors. And that's why sometimes we don't do that anymore. But when the ice cream has been invented, they were doing milk, cream, and butter in ice cream because they knew that's when it's cold, the flavor of whatever you're eating diminish. So if you make a chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream, you have to increase the quantity of chocolate flavor or the vanilla flavor, because when it's cold, you get less flavor. So to balance, to compensate, they were adding more butter in ice cream. Yeah, I know. Even Häagen-Dazs, they don't do that. All right, my cream is ready. We have it here. Now we're going to reduce the juices there. We're going to reduce it until we got about like maybe half of it. That will be enough, right? No sugar. This is not something that we like to be sweet, but we will need olive oil. When I talk about olive oil, I can talk for hours and days about olive oil. But when you go to a shop, don't get the cheapest one. Get a good one and use less. First, tips that I can tell you, that's this. And if you have the chance, if you're lucky enough, taste it. And when you have one that you really, really like, keep buying the same one, because if you start changing whatever, you will be disappointed. Olive oil is very personal. It's like when people start buying a car. You buy your first Toyota and you keep Toyota for a very long time because it's a good car. It does the job for you, and that you're not going. It's not a French car, for instance. When you got a French car for the French as a first car, your second car is never a French car. I'm joking, maybe. All right, so that's getting there. A little longer than expected, but it's good. Well, you know what French chefs do when it's time to gain time? They heat the pan before they add the juice, and then as soon as the pan is very hot, you add the juice. You get like a very quick reduction of it. Okay, it's getting there. Those little stove, of course, I have a regular stove, but I cannot go and actually very fast. All right, give us 2 seconds. Okay, so this is what we get. You can see there is almost nothing in there. I'm going to let it.
What is in the pan, Joanne asked?
Oh, the juices: orange juice and lemon juice. So half an orange, half a lemon. That's enough for 3 to 4 people. You don't need more sauce on that. It's not really the sauce. The interest is the cream and the zucchini, but the sauce will increase all the orange flavor. So that's what you need. Now we're going to put the fish, the papillotes, in the oven. So the fish and the celeriac, and we're going to finish everything, and everything is going to be ready in about 8 to 10 minutes. So same temperature as before. Put a timer, And we're going to finish the sauce. The cream is ready. We have the butter. Then before we serve everything, if you have any questions, I will be very, very happy to answer all your questions.
They'd like to see the reduction again.
Okay. So there you go. So we had about like 4 to 5 tablespoons. We probably have 2 tablespoons now. It's going to keep reducing a little bit because we need to add the olive oil and the butter. So I'm just going to turn it on, just simmering, and I need to go over there without falling apart with the microphone to get whisk. All right, so I didn't put any salt yet. We have to be careful when we do sauces that have a reduction going on with salt. We see a quantity and we say, well, we need 2 pinches of salt, but it's going to reduce. So of course the salt flavor is going to come up. It's better to salt just at the end, and then you take a spoon or your finger if nobody see you, and you test to be sure. All right. So now I'm going to put it on very low. So it's just simmering. And we're going to add 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil. About, I'm not going to start saying 2 tablespoons and a half or whatever. And about the same quantity of butter. So 2 tablespoons of butter. And it's time to whisk. So you whisk well. I tried. I don't know if you can see something. On the screen, I don't see anything. So you imagine there is a sauce with olive oil and butter in a pan, and you're whisking it. Yetunde is going to show you that. Oh yeah, this is much better. So you whisk, and you're going to put it back on it, yeah? And from time to time, you come and whisk. The sauce is going to get slightly thicker. It will have, of course, the flavors or the acidity of the lemon, the tanginess and the sweetness of the orange. And we're going to get about like 4 tablespoons at the end of everything. And that's going to be 2 tablespoons per papillote. And that's going to be plenty. You don't need much. Here we go. Any questions? Is there anyone who has been cooking at the same time? Do we know if someone is cooking at the same time? It would be fun if you can follow the rhythm, if I'm too fast, too slow, if you lost, if everything has fell on the floor. I would like to know all those.
Along.
All right, cool, Joanne.
Yes.
I like the idea.
Carol, I know she was as well. And Kay was ready to go before, but
Okay.
I'm not sure if she was cooking or she was just watching.
And I will be interested to know who has chosen to make both fish and celeriac, or only the celeriac, only the fish. That would be interesting.
Brian says a bit fast.
A bit fast. I'm a bit fast. So I am going to go slower now. Okay. Good to know. I'm a fast guy, I don't know what I was saying, actually. I forgot.
Dina says, we've been cooking along. It smells great.
Oh, some people said it smells great. Yeah. This is the pleasure of the moment, that we don't have the right to go to eat in restaurant. In France, they open next week. So we already they open on June 2nd, and we have a reservation to go for dinner on June 2nd. I'm tired of cooking and eating my own food. Even if Yetunde has been very cheerful, she has been cooking a lot and she cooks great, but we need to get out, man. All right, I think everything is fine. So I still have on my timer here 2 minutes for the papillote. So the big difference when you do it with the paper papillote, like this, the parchment paper, when it is going to come out, it's not going to, big, like a big bubble or a big balloons that when it's aluminum, because it's so well sealed, because the consistency of the aluminum permits you to seal better hermetically, you have a big papillote. But at the end, the flavor doesn't change anything. Who knows? It might be true, actually, that aluminum can bring something dangerous to you. So. All right, so I think my sauce is just perfect now. I don't know if you can see well, you will be able to see the consistency when I will pour. So it's kind of syrupy. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Today I have chosen to cook with only sea salt from Camargue, named Fleur de Sel. I don't know.
I thought we only use use fleur de sel for finishing.
Yes, absolutely. Normally, someone is making the right comments. Normally, we use only for finishing. It's absolutely true. But I don't know. I've put that with me, and I'm using this one. But normally, yeah, the fleur de sel is the salt for finishing the dishes. You just add on top of like a grilled steak after you finish grilling. I don't know, like the fish, we're going to add a little bit of salt on top of it. It's also, it increased the flavor. The salt increased the flavor in general, but this is probably the best salt you can find. Is not refined. And if you don't know what fleur de sel is the salt that they collect very early in the morning, every day, by the evaporation. The salt the water has been evaporated, so there is some crystals of salt. And the first one that you have in the morning, if there is a little bit of wind, a little bit of heat, the first light come up, and they come and collect it, and that's the fleur de sel. So it's always the most expensive one, but it's also flavor-wise, it has the iodine flavor on the high level. It's a good one. You should not use table salt not coming from sea salt. All that, it's pure sodium. It's for high pressure, for everything is really bad. People said the best salt today is the Himalayan salt, the pink one. Maybe it's true. I don't know, but it's to get it fine. Good luck, because it's hard like a rock. Sorry again. So it's hard like a rock, so it's almost impossible to put it in a grinder or whatever. It's very difficult, so I'm not really sure what to do with it. I have black salt, I don't know what to do with it. I have pink salt, I don't know what to do with it. There you go. So now everything is ready. I'm going to go get my papillote. Et voilà. So the pepper got a little color, but we don't care about the pepper. We're going to remove it. This is time to reheat a little bit our zucchini. Same thing, on very low heat. And the resting time for the papillote of 2 minutes, that's an important part of it. Every time you cook something like a steak on the grill, a roasted chicken, a piece of fish, whatever the way you cook it, grill, papillote, give it time to rest before you serve it. This is something that's a big difference between a cheap restaurant in France and a better restaurant. Let's say they cook it and they said, well, let's take 2 minutes rest or 5 minutes rest for a big piece. It will really tenderize everything, and it also help the heat to go everywhere in the fish, for instance, and to be sure that the temperature of the fish everywhere is the same. When it's cooking, top, bottom, mostly, and when you finish like this, we got everywhere. And that's the same thing with a grilled ribeye on a barbecue. Get 5 minutes on the side. Put aluminum foil on top so it doesn't get cold, or a plate on top or something. But give it some time before you serve it. So now our zucchini are going to be ready in 2 seconds. I think they are now. All right, beautiful. So we eat everything. In the bottom of the plate, like this, we're going to add a nice bed of zucchini. So for the moment, I only put the vegetable. So my plate is clean of sauce. And then you press a little bit, so you have a flat bed there, maybe a little bit more on that one, a bit chip on it. And then you can add the sauce. I'm going to show you. So a nice quantity here. Right. I don't know. Here you go. Oh yeah, here you go. Here is mine. Perfect, right? So two are the same. So now it's time to burn yourself by trying to take that out. So my friend here is ready. So it's very hot. Be careful. Okay. And this is what you need to see is the fish. So you have all that juice that fell there. We're going to get rid of this. So you see all the white pearl. So on that side, there's all that white pearl. That is the fish is cooked, but it's not overcooked. And if you touch it, it's very moist. It's exactly what we're looking for. And look how beautiful it is. Very, very white. Let's show that to you. So this is really a way to cook fish in an easy way to get the best of the fish, the best quality, the best control of the cooking time, but and also it doesn't smell in your kitchen. You know, a lot of people said, "Oh, I don't do fish because every time I do fish in my kitchen, it stinks or whatever." That way, you can eat fish, and you can. Today we have that white fish. You can do salmon. And if you want to be fancy, you can even do a chicken breast. It gets very, very moist instead of grilling. You know, if you're on the diet and you want to do steam food, and it's very difficult to make steam food. Let me tell you, it gets very chewy. It's difficult to make good steam food. This is the best way to eat diet food, very light and flavorful. So you make your chicken breast, the small ones, not the big one, and you had exactly the same ingredients in there. Instead of 8 minutes, you put 12 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes rest, and here you go.
Joanne asked, "What about snapper?"
Now, the snapper, it's good. It's very interesting is in the snapper and all the red mullet and all those fishes is the skin. That's where the flavor is in those red fishes, and when you steam or you do papillote, the consistency of the skin is not appealing. You don't feel like eating like a moist skin. It needs to be pan-seared, like crispy, crunchy. But if you have like Sebaste, I know you live in France, so you can use Sebaste. Most of the time, the Sebaste come without the skin, and it's a red fish. This is a very tasty and interesting fish. Joanne? No? Oops. So now we're going to add the sauce. I'm going to get closer so you can see the quantity. About 2 tablespoons, this is about my small ladle there. And because of the consistency, it really make like a glaze. Alright, so the 2 dishes are there, and you go for small little leaves of basil. To make it cute and sexy. We eat with our eyes first, as you know, so need to improve our plating quality. So this is perfect. I don't really want to put too much things in there. You know, some chef will say, "Oh, it is missing a little red, it's missing a little color in the plate." I disagree to that. Not every dish has to be colorful and with a lot blah 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 blah. No, this is what it is. This is zucchini, cream, basil, fish, and a little bit of chili pepper on top. Nice glaze of oranges and lemon juice, which is going to pump the flavor of that. And doesn't need much. I hope you will enjoy that when you are going to have it. I'm thinking of Joanne, who is going to have that later. It's a really. I hope you enjoy that. It was not complicated to make. If you follow the recipe one step by step, you got to that result easily without any complication. The 8 minutes in the hot oven, it's plenty of time for the fish to be cooked. Nobody will say, "Oh, it's not cooked enough. It's undercooked." It's like people sometimes like the fish like fully cooked. In that regard, the fish is not fully cooked, but it doesn't like it's not fully cooked. It's just perfect. And voila. I don't know if Yetunde has some questions that I can answer. I will be very happy to. And if you have some comments, please feel free to comment.
8 minutes for both. Do you cook the fish and celeriac together at the same time?
Yes, we did that at the same time for 8 minutes, but the celeriac was cooked before. Remember, it's been in the oven 7 minutes before, or 8 minutes too, which between 5 to 10 minutes, depend on the size. Just go with a knife, and it has to be tender with a little firm, and then the 8 minutes will finish the cooking. But yes, 8 minutes for both. I'm too far from the screen. I cannot see the.
Okay. Carol says thank you.
You're welcome.
How much butter did you add to the juices?
3 tablespoons. Let's say 3 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons olive oil, 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter. And we have enough sauce to make 2 or 3 more plates. So in total, we have 1 tablespoon of butter for the sauce, for the zucchinis, and 2 or 3 tablespoons for the sauce. For French food, it's not that much.
Okay.
It's all. I don't know. I think I see some more questions coming, but in the meantime, I think that's almost the end of the session. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed that. We are hoping for you to get us some review, and as usual, and yeah. Oh yeah.
Questions about the virtual classes.
All right. So very good point here. Tunde said, if you have made, or if you will, if you've done that in the same time I did, or if you're going to do it, please feel free. And we love that when send us the picture of what you've done. And if you have any questions, of course, you can come back to us and let us know. What else can I tell you? The virtual classes, but we talk about it at the beginning. Next week, don't forget, you can register. It's not too late. It's on 2 days. We make petit gâteau. I think there is like 5 or 6 different little cookies there. We start one day, we are making all the dough that we're going to rest in the fridge. And the next day, we're going to put them in mold. We're going to cook them. It's all the French delicacy. And believe me, the Madeleine we're making on that class are the best Madeleine ever. I've surprised myself with the quality of the Madeleine when I've done that recipe. There's some chocolate cookie also, like with salt, like fleur de sel in it, like absolutely fantastic. Plenty of good stuff. We also have some gluten-free cookies in that class. 2 gluten-free, one with corn and the other one, I don't remember, but we have 2 gluten-free cookies that are pretty fun. And the week after, so in 2 weeks from now, the aperitif, also in 2 days, with all the specialty of the south of France.
2 days, remember that. Now you
Yeah.
have the possibility of booking only one.
So we used to believe that people will have the time for 2 days to make those classes, but it's not always the case. So you can book only one day. of the class. You don't have to book the both days, so it's less expensive, but you also have less time to spend with me.
So a couple of questions.
More questions?
Did you say you had the fish before on YouTube? You said something about the fish before on YouTube. Did you?
Did I say something
No,
like?
did you mean that? Did you mean that you said that you did the recipe already on YouTube? No, you haven't done this.
No. I have never done that that recipe on YouTube. I've done it once in classes. So I've done that recipe in a class, and I personally love celeriac. So that's something I use a lot. One of my preferred way to prepare celeriac is to make a crust with salt, a salt crust. To wrap it up in there, you don't even peel it. You just take the top off and you wrap it up, and you cook for like it's long. It's 1 hour and 30 minutes inside the oven, and then you open that salt crust, and you add a few spoons into the celeriac like this with olive oil, a little bit of butter, maybe some herbs on top, and you put that in the middle of the table. That was before the COVID-19, but before the COVID-19, we had a few spoons like this, and everybody can go with his own spoon and get a piece of it. And believe me, this is sometimes food, when the more simple it is, the better it is. And that's so true for that recipe. Salted crust, it's flour, salt, and water. Celeriac and a little bit of olive oil and butter just to put at the end with some herbs eventually. I love tarragon, so I usually shop tarragon and I put that in there. But it melts. It's really good. And you can do it with beets also, the same recipe. It's pretty cool.
What wine would you do with this?
Very good question about the wine. Definitely a white wine. And something with a lot of fruits in there, like maybe a Chardonnay. When today we have a Chenin. This is an interesting because we don't do that much in the south of France. But this is the guy there. It's not it's not too far away from where we are, and he makes Chenin Blanc. And yesterday and I are going to eat those dishes in a couple of minutes, and definitely we're going to have Chenin Blanc with it. And cheers! I think I need a drink.
Carol did both dishes, and yes, and Judith, who you met in Florida.
Yeah, all right. So there are a lot of people who came to see us in Uzes or on that YouTube live. It's fantastic. Good to see you guys. Hope to see you again in Uzes. We might restart doing classes. We are like everybody. We don't know. But apparently in mid-July, we might be able. Who knows? But it's September for sure. So if you don't know what to do in September, October, please book.
Mark says we also enjoy your sense of humor.
My sense of humor.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for the sense of humor. I've been told by Yetunde to not make any dirty jokes, so I stayed away from them.
Mm-hmm.
French.
Yes, this is good. So have they tasted it yet? Have they sampled anything that they made?
All right. Did some of you have finished the dishes or have tasted them? Do you like the flavor?
Carol is about to.
Carol is about to eat her lunch. For us, it's about late dinner, and for you, it's a late lunch, I guess. It's difficult to find the right timing to be able to accommodate the Eastern time people and the West Coast people and us. I don't want to teach at 3 o'clock in the morning, as you imagine. So it's
also private sessions too that they can book for family.
If you book a private session, I can do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. But so it's go online and check our virtual classes. There is plenty of good stuff. We have done pâté last week. Pâté, the terrine, pâté en croûte. We've done a few things. I was like, wow, that was awesome. So Yetunde is doing things there. No.
So, cheers. Early dinner for Carol.
Early dinner.
This time worked well for us. We are in California.
Oh, yeah.
Says,
California is perfect timing for you.
The
Oh, the classes with Remy. Remy. He's more popular than I am. It's pretty cool. It's difficult, It's like when you're a filmmaker. Some people in California, we might know some filmmakers. Working with kids is a nightmare. He's very good. He loves what he's doing. I think he's natural. At some time, he goes, "Whoa, it's impossible to." But that's life. Well, I think we're going to let you go, everybody. Thank you so much. Maybe Yetunde will join me to say goodbye. And enjoy your meal if you're making the food. Enjoy those dishes when you're making them. And it will be great to get the recipe. The recipe, you have it. To get the pictures of whatever you've done. And hope to see you soon. Yeah, here we go.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Have a good afternoon, good evening, good night. Ciao. C'est bon ça.
German, c'est ton